Call the meeting to order. Do we have any citizens or public comments? Doesn't appear that we do. Welcome, everybody. Consideration of approval of the agenda.
So move, Your Honor.
Second.
Clerk, call the roll.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
The agenda is approved as submitted. Consideration of approval of the minutes of the November 6, 15, and 20 meetings. So move.
Second.
Any other discussion or questions? Clerk, call the roll.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Minutes of the November 6, 15, and 20 meetings are approved. Consideration of approval of the consent calendar.
Well,
Thank-
Jane, the claims list, Jane is throwing it together right now. So I don't know how you want to do that. Do you want to, I guess I don't know how to do this, Mayor. I've never had this happen before.
Let's
so.
move it down to the
Something
bottom.
else
Yeah,
and come back.
sure, well,
Would that be all right? Let's do
that's
that
what
then.
we'll do.
Thank
Move it down to 10 and a half.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
We'll come back to it.
Okay, thank you.
Business of the mayor. I have a conflict next week that I will talk to you about. It's just my conflict, I think. Here she comes. The planning session normally would occur on the Wednesday, the 11th, I think it is.
13th.
Oh, it's 13th. 13th. I have a Upper Cedar Watershed meeting next door at the library. On the other hand, my Monday is open because of the way scheduling goes for NIACOG. Normally that is a conflict, but it isn't next week. So it will work best for me if we could move the planning session to Monday the 11th. But if it doesn't work for other people, we'll just have to have Jerry chair parts of the planning session, and I'll, because of the conflict with the Upper Cedar. Do we have any conflicts regarding the 11th?
11 works for me.
Your Honor, it'd work great for me.
Seems fine.
Fine.
Okay, then the clerk will take note of that fact.
That means I won't get the extra pay.
Yeah, you poor guy.
Same as, it's just switching, as far as your schedules are concerned, just moves the 13th to the 11th, all still at 6 o'clock. Okay, thank you.
Good.
Now, back to the item number 7, which was the consideration of approval of the consent calendar. Any questions regarding the consent calendar?
Is there any more to this, Judy, like library info or anything that we normally get, or?
Oh, there should have been. I bet she didn't grab those. Chris has been gone, so we are really trying to cover all the bases here, so, and those have already all been paid anyway, the library and the housing, they're already approved by other boards. So these are just the ones that the council
Need
would
the
approve.
council's approval.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're okay with that, and I can make sure and get those emailed out to you tomorrow. I know she's got them because she had the printout there, but she was just trying to get this to you, so I bet she didn't grab it. Make a note here. I can send those to you guys.
I was going to say I'd move to approve, subject to getting the additional information to review.
Any other questions or discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Thanks, guys.
Consent calendar is approved with the subject to the condition laid down by the council. And consideration of resolution 129-17, renewing lease for Carnegie Building discussion.
Well, we've got a long-term, well, we have a lease with the city does with the Arts Council for the Carnegie Building over there at 301 Jackson Street. Our lease expires this December, and Arts Council would like to renew it. In looking at the lease, I don't think there's anything in there that we feel that we need to change, so we would like to renew that lease. The Art Council has requested doing a longer term than 3 years, but I think in speaking with Brad, if we do a 3-year lease, we can then do annual renewing, automatic renew for a year at a time after that, and then just look at it as needed without having to go to public hearing and various things. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to go ahead and renew that lease for the 3-year period, and I guess take it a year at a time from there, possibly.
All the terms are basically the same. How long has this lease been out there?
It hasn't changed since 2014. I guess I don't know whether it would have changed at all in 2014. Ralph would have prepared that lease, but
I'm just trying to think. I think it's been the Art Center since I've been in town. 20-some years, so.
It was a library when I first came.
I mean, I'm just trying to
This is
think
still
of.
the library, okay.
There's no money involved in this, is there?
But as far as the terms go, I mean, I was, 2014, I don't remember changing anything.
No.
Nothing substantial at that time. And it seems to be a really good working relationship, so it doesn't seem to be broke.
So we're just saying go 3 years and then take an automatic renewal unless somebody has a question?
if you go longer than 3 years, you have to go through the same procedure you would to sell property. So you have to publish notice, have a hearing. So this is the longest we can extend it right now without having to go through that procedure.
But then
After the 3 years, yeah, we could look at doing an automatic renewal or just another 3 years.
Will it be automatic without anything?
No, in 2020, we'll have to look at it again, and then we'll look at either doing an automatic annual renewal or another 3-year lease at that time. So yeah, we'll have to revisit it in 3 years, regardless.
Yeah.
I
Probably
would
not.
so move, Your Honor.
I'd second. Probably not a bad thing to do anyway.
No, that was our thoughts too.
Yeah. 3 years comes fast.
Yes, it does.
Any other questions or discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Resolution 129-17 is approved. Consideration of Resolution 130-17 approving repairs to Park and Rec Maintenance Building. Discussion.
Yeah, one of our previous workshops here, we reviewed the quotes that Steve Lindeman from Park and Rec had received in regard to replacing the roof on the maintenance building down there on South Grand. And the quotes we received 4 different ones. The low was to Jensen's N&O Construction for an amount of $24,289.66. That's for the 28-gauge steel with soffit and fascia. That is the lowest bid. It's low by about $41 compared to the next lowest bid, Waldner Construction. And speaking with both contractors, they're both booked up until spring. So, if we wanted to try and expedite it to get it done sooner, we'd probably be in the same boat either way. So, what we'd like to do is approve that quote from Jensen's N&O for that $24,289.66 amount, with the intent that project will be completed here before the end of the fiscal year. Likely start in the spring, finished in early summer.
We have reason to believe this contractor is competent.
Yep, we do. Yeah, Steve's looked into that, and they do a lot of work in the area, and part of the reason why they're booked up.
Okay.
So move.
Second.
Any other questions or discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Resolution 130-17 is approved. Consideration of Resolution 131-17 accepting 2017 lime residual material removal project and approve final payment. Discussion.
Yes, CAM Excavating, he's completed the the work for the 2017 lime material removal project, and that was done in substantial compliance with the project documents. If you remember, our water treatment plant, it's a lime softening plant, and as part of the process, a lime flock is created through the softening process to settle out the calcium bicarbonate from the water. And the lime flock is then pumped to the lagoons at Kellogg and 19th Avenue. And we hadn't cleaned out the lagoons at all since the water plant started. And we were in need of cleaning out some of that material because we were losing storage capacity. Now, the bid that was submitted by CAM was $79,100. This was the project where we had 6 bids ranging from CAM's low bid up to $233,000, and the project was actually completed $1,700 less than that for a total cost of $77,324. It did go very well, and we were able to we cleaned out about 80% of the South Lagoon, and the water plant's starting to use that. We'll let the North Lagoon dry out, and our plan is in 3 years to have another lime removal project. So I'd recommend approval of project resolution number 13117, approving the project and authorizing final payment to CAM Excavating.
Discussion.
John, that lime, I noticed some of it, a lot of it, all of it, whatever, was hauled north of town and put on fields. That's not our, is that CAM's lime when it leaves the lagoon? Is that not our responsibility north of town, is it?
Well, yeah, it's CAM's, but we'll also work through the Department of Agriculture to follow their rules. And actually, as part of this project too, our lime lagoons have actually been licensed as an ag lime quarry. But and we required to have documentation from CAM as far as making sure it was placed correctly.
Okay, so we could still have liability on that, but probably not.
But yeah, but it's also been spread too, so it's.
It remained our lime. He just hauled it for us and got rid of it, basically. He didn't buy it from us since we're paying him to get rid of it.
The contracting make that.
We consider it to be his lime when he picks it up, and I think our contract documents were drafted that way. But if any issues arose for whatever reason, ultimately
we'll get drugged back in.
Correct.
Since it's our stuff.
But it had language that he'd indemnify, hold us harmless, his responsibility to follow the appropriate rules and regulations. But in talking to other cities, when issues have come up, ultimately the city does get brought back into it.
CAM is first liable, and then it could fall back down the line. Right.
I just noticed from the pictures, John, that it says completed cleaning of the South Lagoon. It looks like some of the stuff stayed in the middle.
Yeah, see, the lagoon itself is about 300 by 300, and CAM rented a long reach excavator, and he sat on the top of the berms and went around and reached as far out as he could. There's still an island in the center that could not be reached, but we calculated about 80% of the lime has been removed.
So that in the middle is going to stay there?
Yes,
Why couldn't you just drive in there with an end loader and clean that out, or is there some reason to not do that?
It's too soft. Yeah, you can't get down in there.
Okay.
Well, actually, I know the city of Ames, they had lime lagoons basically like ours, but they went the extra step. They actually did clean it all out, and then they've actually put a berm down the center, and so they have longer rectangular ones now.
Yeah, have more capacity to get it out.
But our plan now is just pretty much every 3 years clean out one or the other and keep up with it rather than letting it go as long as it had in the past.
Is that something that should be considered, though, somewhere down the line to do a little different work on this thing to be able to clean it out and increase the usable capacity?
Well, I guess, let's see what happens, because also, our thought is that as we get more of it, as we do it more often, then it'll be not as thick, and it'll be thinner, and probably we could get in and clean it out better.
Yeah, just asking.
Yeah.
The lagoons at the wastewater plant are not going to be as wide?
I was just going to mention, we're designing the reed beds so that we can drive in.
Good. Okay. So move for 3117.
Second.
Clerk will call the roll.
Star.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Resolution 131-17 is approved. Miscellaneous correspondence,
None, Your Honor.
city attorney's report.
I did share with Steve, there was a case decided by Iowa Supreme Court last week involving abandoned nuisance properties and a statute that we've used in the past. And basically the statute allows you to petition the court to obtain title to the property if it meets certain criteria. And the issue is whether cities are required to then pay the nuisance owners the fair market value or just compensation for the property. The court said no, that the cities aren't obligated to pay the owners because they're using the property in an unlawful manner, which is a good decision for cities because, again, it's something we use pretty frequently. So just thought I'd share that with the council.
Good news.
Good news.
City clerk's report.
Well, as the mayor originally talked about, our next planning session will be Monday, December 11th at 6 o'clock p.m.
Are any of these things that are stacking up at your desk relevant?
Well, these are the library and the housing claims, so.
Okay. City administrator's report.
I've drafted an initial draft for a budget workshop schedule, so I placed that all at your desk there to take a look at. It's based very similar to what we did last year, just a few tweaks here and there. Kept the same 4:30 start time. So look through this, let me know if there's dates conflicts that may or may not work, so we can kind of finalize this, but like to get your feedback on that, so we can get that on the books.
Are we still meeting on the 13th of December?
No, it'll be the 11th now.
Sorry, good note.
This was up to date 10 minutes ago.
Some people are just whiny, they gotta...
But if you notice, the pink areas are the ones you guys need to focus on, because those are the when the council, that's when we meet to have our meetings. So, so December 13th, that's our workshop. Now I'm going to move the 11th. Hope to have a little bit of a goal-setting discussion that night. We just did a goal setting this last November, if you recall, and so we have our goal setting sheets. What I did was I printed off just a condensed version that shows goals, current obligations, and other things talked about. So use this or use your full copy, or I can print you out a full copy. But this really gets you the meat and potatoes, everything. So we can see if there's any goals or priorities we need to change coming up here. But I want to have that discussion a little bit on that Monday workshop as well. Secondly, we've got union negotiations start this week, Thursday and Friday. So we'll be working on that here we're going to have probably 3 different union contracts, because right now the police and public works is one, but due to the state law changes, those will have to be split out. So we'll likely have police, fire, and public works 3 separate agreements. So we'll be doing that Thursday, Friday, while you guys are at the train on Thursday, watching the train come to town on the holiday train.
Yeah, right.
Broadband Commission, we're meeting on Wednesday to review the final report from the feasibility study. So we'll be looking into that. I think the initial report looks good, but we need to really delve into that and discuss that more. But broadband will be following up with that. Dispatch center review. I've had a chance to be with Hugh and John Gore and talk about the dispatch center. So we're going to be meeting with the county contingent here next week to discuss that prior to our anticipated communications 911 joint meeting the week following that. So discussion continues on that. Comprehensive plan survey, I think we had about 700 survey takers on the comprehensive plan, so very happy with that participation level. Nyakog and Myrtle, she's assembling that data, so we'll have information from those surveys when we meet next week for groups A and D of our comprehensive plan. Zoetis, still waiting for official word from Zoetis on if and how they're moving forward with a potential project. Tim Fox reached out to Ernst & Young on Friday, and appreciated the inquiry and said that they're still waiting for official word from corporate, so we're still waiting to see how that progresses. And lastly, December 1st was our final day for garbage and recycling, for size taking. We'll still work on taking a few of the, taking those in, but our plan moving forward is to assemble the data and see what we got here for sizes, so Alan can order accordingly. I know Alan at Gendros has ordered a number of garbage bin and recycling bins, and so those are coming in, and so it'll be interesting to see what our totals and what our ratios work out for the various sizes. So,
Do you have means of distributing them, or does General do that, or?
The Gendros going to be delivering them. I talked to Alan last week, and he said that they thought they might even start taking out some recycling bins here in December, but they've been coming in. They've ordered them. They've been getting a couple lots in. So talked about maybe partnering to deliver those, but it sounds like they're going to, at least starting out, they're going to tackle that on their own. So that would be good. That's all I have there.
His plans for the recycling bins when they're completed are to just dispose of them at the level of the homeowner?
The blue tubs?
Yeah.
Yeah, those become property of the homeowner, so they can do with those as they please. I suppose if they don't want to keep them any longer, they could. I'm sure we could probably work with Gendros to pick those up, I suppose.
Recycle them.
But
We can just let them blowing up down the street like they do now.
I've been meaning to talk to you about that, Jerry.
Publicize that as that time comes.
Yeah, that's.
I'm sure that'll be a question for many people.
Yeah. I've talked. I mean, a few people I've talked to have, they'll still utilize those tubs, maybe on an interior basis and use that to shuttle back and forth to the bigger one. But you can do it with it as you please, I guess.
When they distribute this out, I'm not quite sure I understand. Once they've distributed it to the homeowner, can they then use those right away?
No. We're going to be, April 1st is our start date.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
So.
But
are we going to put the word out?
We've got a sheet that we're working on that's going to be put in each of those totes, and it's going to outline a lot of that stuff.
So you're assuming somebody
They're getting
will,
it now, but they're not going to use it till April 1st and that type of a thing.
and you're assuming they'll read what
Well,
you're given.
Yeah, well, I don't know how else to get the word out, so, but that will go in each tote.
I'd go back to sending some kind of a postcard out to everybody that gets a utility bill from us.
Yeah, and that's how we did it for the sign-up. Everybody got a yellow postcard for
Still,
sign-up.
they gotta read it.
Yeah, they still got to.
They got to read it, but at least they'll get something in the mail. It's better than
Yeah.
sticking it
Comes to
inside the
them.
tote.
But that postcard also said that we start pickup April 1st.
Right, but, I mean, look at how many questions we've had that nobody knew about this whole process, so
Yeah, that's
I guess
comes with the territory.
City clerk didn't get the word out.
Okay.
So,
Well, my compliments, the one thing that I've talked about this a little bit in the past, relating the goals to the budget process. Thank you very much for doing that, because I think it's important that the council's able to refer back to what they said were the high priorities as it relates to actually spending some money to accomplish the priorities. So thank you for that.
sure.
And there is a train coming to town. I'm going to be on it. So it's this Thursday at 11:30, I believe, is the arrival time. The press is shaking its head.
Thursday?
Yep, this Thursday.
Not shaking, he's nodding.
And all you have to do is bring a contribution for the food pantry. That's part of the deal. And right? I got that right too. Okay.
Are they going to let you blow the whistle?
And I don't think so.
No.
Nevertheless, that's going on Thursday. Anything else that we have with board, commission, or committee reports? Hearing none, is our motion to adjourn?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we're adjourned.